This is about a book by a man named Calvin Trillin entitled Killings. In Cold Blood and The Executioner's Song. Two pretty famous books that won all the prizes, Pulitzer's, National Book Awards, but I did not like them. Capote's prose may have been finely textured, but it did not redeem, for me, the horrible, senseless, grisly slaughter of a Kansas family. And Mailer, thanks to Larry Schilling, nailed the exhausting tedium of a wasted life that would have amounted to nothing had it not included brutal murder. Murder as a subject is dicey for me. It's something of a trick, an automatic attention grabber, so I was uncertain about reading Killings by Calvin Trillin. Someone had given me a copy of the book long ago, and I had never read it. I came across it, a forgotten curio, when I was searching for something to read. I was familiar with Trillin as a comic author and one who often wrote about food. Murder was obviously something else. In an introduction, Trillin wrote, "These stories are meant to be more about how Americans live than about how some of them die." And he sticks to that. The deaths are mostly incidental, providing the reason for turning over the rock to see what's beneath it. When someone dies suddenly, he wrote, the shades are drawn up, and the specificity of what is revealed was part of what attracted me. Each crime is a window into a family, a community, a culture, a way of living that is abruptly and permanently derailed. Finally, and simply, and plainly, as he notes at the onset of his book, reporters love murders. The story is already there, handed to them, in all its specificity. The reporter need only discover the telling details, that specificity, and use them to highlight the narrative. And the stakes of the story, life and death, none higher. Reporters do love murder. When Cain killed Abel, journalism was born. Trillin is most focused and most drawn to the settings of these stories, along with the cast of characters. The murder is the ghastly gemstone in the setting. The setting provides the foundation for the social dynamics, which often play a hand in the commission of the crime. If you can read the setting, you can begin to see how the crime became inevitable, the homicide predictable, if not exactly premeditated. Trillin finds himself in backwards, and proud of it, Appalachian Kentucky. He's in conservative and defensive about it, Westchester, Pennsylvania. He explores the upper social echelons of Savannah, Georgia, where reputation means more than life itself, where breaking the code of social engagement might be a greater crime than murder. There are also tiny towns in Iowa where things take a bad turn for hard-working, church-going people. There are stories of social interaction gone, sometimes all too predictably, wrong. The stories can be fairly clear-cut or complicated, densely interwoven. There are stories with scant evidence and contradictory testimonies. On the other hand, there are stories where much is known, and the more that is known, the less you understand just exactly what was going on. With no skin in the game, the author has no bias, ever. He has the objectivity of a scientist watching particles smash together in a super collider, setting up the experiment, reporting the results. One exception to this is a case involving child abuse that results in murder. That tests even a New Yorker's bland sensibility. It's tough reading a book about murder after murder. After a while, the murders seem painful only because they are so mundane, so wretchedly, relentlessly offhand and inconsequential. The killers should be tried, it seems, not for the grave and solemn crime of murder. They should be charged more appropriately, not even with manslaughter, but with disturbing the peace or creating a civil nuisance. Misdemeanors. There is nothing first degree about any of this. Finally, some of these poor people seem destined for a bad end, locked into it, like the young girl who wrote this poem a week before she was thrown out of a speeding, tumbling car and was fatally crushed. I think I'm going to die, and I really don't know why, but look in my eye when I tell you goodbye. I think I'm going to die. Her parents had that framed and kept on the mantelpiece.